Welcome to Step Into Your Power. This is episode 1 of our Step Into Your Power podcast with Tommy Truthful and my best buddy, Sister Honey. Sister Honey Golden, how are you doing today, Sister Honey?
I'm doing great. I was muted.
Yeah, that was my
So
fault.
all is yeah. So we're going to talk about a lot of crazy stuff today, but I'm excited for Tommy to kick this off.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I wanted to get into a little bit before we get going, guys. We built one of the biggest spiritual communities. You really can't find nothing like it online right now, and it's stepintoyourpower.com. That link is in the description. If you look, it's at the top of the description. And for all my people on my platform, Sister Honey's link is down there too. Make sure you go follow her on her YouTube. But this platform is really amazing. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things today. I wanted to start out on the Great Separation and Nostradamus. You know, he's had all these predictions and theories about these future events. And one of his predictions was this Great Separation. And I'm wondering, Sister Honey, if he's talking like about what's going on right now spiritually.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of separations that have happened, but the biggest one was in 2020. And then that was the biggest kickoff. And then we had the one where the two Earths separated, which has to do with Dolores Cannon's prediction and basically the 3D and the 4D falling away. So we've already had that happen, and probably you guys can feel it. It feels different now.
Yeah, definitely the energy is ramping up. Now, I do have a question for you. Do you think anybody that's watching this now, they have made it to our frequency and the timeline we're on?
Well, they've made it into the fifth density and the fifth dimension. And there have been a lot of people who decided not to participate in that. Like they got here and then they decided to pass. So a lot of people have passed away recently. And that has to do with they made it as far as they could get in ascension and decided to go ahead and ascend without their body.
So it's not necessarily a terrible thing, but I know a lot of people are reporting feeling really weird, like their equilibrium's off and their eyesight, they're not being able to see right, and having pains in their body. A lot of this has to do with the transformation we're going through, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely. So we have a massive Schumann resonance going on right now, especially over Father's Day. It was enormous. And that is all the light codes coming in. And you can feel them in your body. Like I just sat around most of the day yesterday. I was so tired from it all. But yeah, it really is like it blasts the body. And the body and the mind are the ones that are being upgraded right now because they're really having probably the hardest time letting go of the 3D.
Yeah, we're still stuck into that material world and the Netflix and chill and all the news stories. You know what I mean? A lot of people are
Yeah.
still anchored to that, and it's hard. The programming has been there so much since we were born. I think it's really hard for people to break away from that. But the more you guys get away from that, the better off you're going to be. The more you tune out of that frequency and raise your frequency and step into your power, the better off you're going to be. I've seen myself go through so much of a transformation lately, just myself personally. It's really helped me out a lot. So I think getting away from a lot of that negative, because that's all the mainstream media is it's a lot of negativity, and fear based. But definitely too, you see that band
Yeah.
Sister Honey has on her arm right there. That's energy wellness technology, guys. That's based on Nikola Tesla, and that also helps with your frequency, raising your vibration, and protecting you from EMFs and stuff like that. That link is down in the description. Make sure you guys smash that like button, share this video out to the people. And we're going to watch this video about Nostradamus. It's about 9 minutes long. And then me and Sister Honey will have a conversation on what we think it means. So I'm going to play that now for you guys.
They say you won't feel it at first, the shift, the moment when humanity quietly fractures into two distinct paths. But look closer, something is already happening. The dreams are changing, the air feels heavier, whispers drift through our collective consciousness like echoes from a prophecy half remembered. Nostradamus once wrote of a division so profound that mankind would no longer recognize its own reflection, not in the mirror and not in each other. This isn't a story about nations or ideologies, it's a story of souls, of those who awaken and those who never will. Before we go any further, like, share, and subscribe. Tap the bell and turn on all notifications so you never miss what comes next. And join the #1 high-vibration spiritual community, where truth seekers gather to reclaim their energy and purpose. Now, let's pull back the veil. We're about to uncover warnings hidden for centuries and confront the question, which side are you really on, the awakened or the lost? Buried in the faded ink of Nostradamus's Les Prophéties lies a verse that's long been dismissed. But in Century 8, Quatrain 41, he wrote, "The great multitude will awaken, one part driven to light, one to blackened waters. Not all who see will see, and not all who sleep will stay asleep." Mystics have whispered for generations. This was never about physical war. It's a metaphysical schism, a fracture in the spiritual timeline, a moment where reality splits, where people share the same space, but live on entirely different frequencies. Some rise above the veil, stepping into clarity. Others drown in distractions, guided by voices that mimic truth, but serve only control. Nostradamus foresaw this, not just the future, but the divergence of perception itself. Many believe the split begins with an event, disaster, war, collapse, but no, it starts in silence. 1,000 small cuts across the skin of civilization, shifts in behavior, shifts in attention, a growing dissonance between those who feel the pressure building in their soul and those who numb it with noise. The awakened speak of synchronicities, dreams leaking into waking life, loops in time, sudden urges to break free from systems that once defined their existence. Meanwhile, the lost dive deeper into the matrix, more news, more drama, more consumption. Nostradamus described this as irreversible. Two trains silently veering onto separate tracks, still visible to one another, but never again meeting. Who are the lost? Not evil, but hypnotized. Sleepwalkers in a dream that was never theirs. Ensnared by centuries of programming, education, entertainment, technology, engineered desires. They chase progress without direction, freedom without awareness, information without wisdom. Nostradamus portrayed them with eyes wide open, but pupils clouded. The awakened, the sentinels, are different. They sense when something is off. They feel too much. They carry both ancient instincts and futuristic visions. And now, they're being activated, often unwillingly. It's not easy, it's lonely, it's painful. And illusions are waiting to pull them back. If you feel this, drop a comment below. You're not meant to awaken alone. We talk about digital distractions and mental health crises, but what if these are symptoms of a much older sickness, a frequency war? Nostradamus spoke of metal tongues and singing spheres, likely references to electromagnetic influence on the human mind. This split isn't just ideological, it's vibrational. The awakened begin tuning into silence, sacredness, and intuitive resonance. Truth vibrates at a frequency that cannot be faked. But for the lost, the frequency lowers. Fear, scarcity, emotional manipulation. They're drowned in noise that silences their soul. One of Nostradamus's most chilling messages is the warning of inversion, the flipping of good and evil, truth and lie, light and dark. He foresaw a time when the beast wears robes of virtue and the wise are dressed as fools. Look around. Who do we reward? Who do we silence? The inversion is complete when deception is celebrated, and truth is punished. The awakened feel this dissonance in their bones. The lost, they drink from poisoned wells and praise the taste. Nostradamus also warned of a false dawn, a light that warms no one. Movements and trends that claim awakening, but lead only to controlled confusion. These mimicries hijack the soul's longing for truth. They distract rather than transform. The real path, it's lonely, it's shadowed, it's silent. He warned, "Unity without fire shall divide the earth. This false unity is uniformity disguised as peace." Look closely, and you'll see them. Children born with knowing eyes, psychic sensitivities, and memories that don't belong to this life. Nostradamus called them the seeds of the second dawn. They see both worlds, the broken one they were born into, and the hidden one they're here to restore. Misunderstood, labeled, misdiagnosed. But they are bridges, and many are awakening faster than the rest of us. They must be protected. They must be guided. If you're one of them, claim your power. Nostradamus foresaw the breaking of illusion's outer crust, not apocalypse, but revelation. Cities trembling, systems dissolving. The old world cannot hold the frequency of the new. Collapse is necessary. It's a trial by chaos. The lost will panic. The awakened will breathe easier, finally, because they know this isn't the end. Have you noticed it? Two people see the same event and interpret it completely differently. This is not an accident. It's fractured reality. Nostradamus wrote, "The world shall be one, yet seen as two, one through shadow, one through flame." Reality has splintered. The awakened co-create a new layer of truth, quietly, invisibly, until the veil breaks. Have you felt this, like you're living in a different world? Share your experience below. Across time, Nostradamus spoke of silent protectors, guardians. These are beings marked by light, not crowns. They don't rule, but rather they hold open the door. You know, they may be artists, healers, hackers, or even strangers you never forget. Their job? Well, it's to keep the gateway visible, so others may cross. You are not just meant to awaken, you are meant to reach back and help others awaken too. If that's you, speak. Let your light be seen. The greatest illusion? That we are alone. Nostradamus warned, "The soul shall believe it walks alone." But that is the final trick. We are connected across fields of thought, heart, and intention. So now, speak truth, reach out, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell and turn on all notifications. And most importantly, join stepintoyourpower.com, the #1 high vibrational spiritual community that's 100% free. This is where we expose the matrix, reclaim our energy, and remember who we really are. The link is in the description.
Okay, so let me add us back to the stage there.
That was great.
Yeah, I made that. I shouldn't have had so many pauses. My apologies, guys. But what he was talking about there, Sister Honey, the great separation and what's going on. I think it really is what's happening now. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. This great separation.
Yeah. So we came through a portal. It was before I left for Hawaii. So I would say 2 weeks before. So it's been almost a month that we came through a portal into the fifth dimension. We were already in the fifth density. So a lot of people passed away during that time or right before because we were already in fifth density. Density is physicality, dimension is like your consciousness. So it's really important to start to let go of the old stuff because the collective still carries a lot of the knowledge from the 3D. But you can see how systems are collapsing right now, how things are speeding up. And if you've been really focused on truth over the last several years, you're seeing things happen that a lot of people have been asking and hoping would happen for years. So basically, we're watching everything fall so that we can basically rebuild the new. And it's a beautiful time right now. I'm very excited because we have come through the birth canal. We are not going back. So everything is forward motion now.
Yeah, it's very very exciting time to be alive. And this sister said, Melissa, don't we still carry ancestral contracts? What do you believe about that, Sister Honey?
We do, and I do something called quantum healing, and we break ancestral contracts all the time. So it's very important to let go of things that no longer serve this reality or you personally. So you can go into the astral plane if you know how. You can go into the Akashic records and you can break those contracts. We also do cord cutting and we pull the cords through all the generations and heal all the generations. So that's important to think about when you think about your ancestral contracts because illness travels through those, money lack, all kinds of different things that your ancestors created that are not in your highest good now. We're here to heal all of it. That's part of what we've been doing, and that's why we're where we're at now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
Mm-hmm.
Rhonda said Dolores Canyon. Yeah, Dolores Canyon. She was Rhonda. I thought she was still alive in my timeline. I told Sister Honey that. I said, man, I felt like she was alive in my timeline, but she passed away. But I'm sure she's back here again, right? She's came
She is.
back.
I feel like she's in a child right now. So
And
she's going to have a lot of fun experiencing this.
she did so much good for this
Yeah.
community, and she was such an amazing person. I just if you don't know who she is, guys, you really should look into her. She opened my eyes so much, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge fan of her work. um, she was just amazing, and there's still a lot of people that have built their whole channel on sharing her content. Her knowledge was just next level, especially when it came to this type of stuff. And my brother from Columinati, Indiana, my brother Dominic, I've actually done shows with him. He's talked about this event for quite a long time. And Dom, now you see we have these solar flares that are happening, right? All this um, uh, solar activity, which I believe that gamma radiation is activating certain people's 12-strand angelic DNA. That's my opinion on what's going on
Yeah.
with the solar activity. But yeah, it's very
It's
very
doing
fascinating.
that. It's amazing. Yeah. It's doing that. And it's also like bringing all the stuff up that you need to clear. So if you find yourself really annoyed, then it's probably a trigger that you need to go clear within yourself. Yep.
Yeah, them videos you do. I watched your last one you did with your friend on quantum healing and breaking them contracts. I think that's so important because
Mhm.
I don't think a lot of people realize that we carry that on with us. These
Yeah.
ancestral. Some of them are curses, even that
Yeah.
that
Some
that.
are curses, but they come from not just the generations, but the soul. So we've done a lot of soul healing to get to this point. We've done a lot of inner child, which is the human soul healing, and we've done a lot of generational healing. And now we're kind of in the mind and the body, and really getting the body to let go of programs, because the body is your quantum computer here on Earth. And it carries a lot of knowledge. And when you get sick, it means you weren't willing to open the packet of knowledge that was given to you. And your body keeps asking you to open it, and you're not. So that's one of the things that is important to know.
That's why a lot of people checked out, right? In these last couple
Yes.
years, they weren't
Yeah.
Willing to heal.
They weren't willing to heal. They weren't willing to actually take back their sovereignty either.
Right. Do you think we're
Yeah.
gonna? Okay, I seen someone in the comments ask the question about what's going on right now in Israel and Iran, right? That's a huge thing on the mainstream media. I wrote a whole blog about it. I think it's just a fear tactic and a major loose energy harvest myself. But what do you think about that, Sister Honey? And do you think
I
it's
think it's
something
one
we
of the
should?
steps into the fall of the 3D systems. And if you follow certain things, which I don't really know if YouTube is cool with that yet, but the letter 17, if you follow that at all, it's basically described the sequence of events that will happen as the old world falls away and the new world comes in. And Israel is last. So
Oh,
this thing that's going on right now has to do with, basically, they've already capitulated, and we're watching the movie portion of what has already happened.
on the
So
world stage.
yeah, on the world stage. And there's a lot of that. Like, a lot of the craziness in the cities right now has to do with that. All of it is for disclosure, but most of us, or a lot of us, have already we knew about this. We knew it was going to happen, and it really doesn't impact us that much. And it's basically just, we're cleaning house right now. So we're cleaning house. We're getting ready to move into something new. And that newness doesn't need any of the old dirt. So there's a lot of programs and society things that we don't need anymore. And most of them have to do with government, because the government is not at all what we thought it was.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not supposed, by the way, guys, we're really not supposed to be paying taxes like we do. I mean, they've just lied to us and hustled us out of so many different things. That gets into the straw man, maritime law, the 1666, the System V Act, and the 3 Crown laws that they passed, where they pretty much consider us lost and dead at sea, or they did at one point. Hopefully, as we move into this new frequency, all that falls away. And we talked about it a little bit. We touched on it when you and Dad were on a podcast about that dream I had, where everything was being destroyed, but then a phoenix rose up out of the destruction and flew over and created this beautiful world. And I think that's was my higher self or guardian angel, whatever you want to call it, that was showing me something in the astral plane. And the old has to fall away for the new to be created, right?
Yeah. And the Phoenix energy is here. It's here on Earth now. It's ready.
The Phoenix. Some people call it the Phoenix event, and they talk about these cyclical resets that we go through, honey. And I know me and you are huge in alternate history theories in the Tartarian Empire. I think that was one of these Phoenix event type things, these global resets.
Well, it was more of a reset that came from what I call the deletes.
The deletes.
So
I like that.
the distorted people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it came from them. It wasn't really about the Phoenix energy. So around 300,000 years ago, the earth was taken over by a certain kind of energetic. And the whole universe has been polarized. So it was part of like a big fight that happened. And a lot of our genetics were messed with, animals were messed with, like all kinds of things happened over that span. And we've just moved into the end of that 300,000 year time period. So basically, the original beings that created all of what we see on Earth, they created the divine matrix, they're back. And they have control of this matrix now. And the matrix will continue to get more and more beautiful as we allow it to, because we contribute to the matrix just like in the Matrix movie. So when he was plugged in the Matrix movie,
Right.
he was contributing to believing that that was real.
Yep.
Yeah. And now we're seeing that things are not real. But we had been fooled for a very long time into thinking that certain systems were real. There was no way out of doing certain things. Your body was going to age no matter what. You know, all these kinds of massive, yucky ideas, they were installed immediately, like as soon as you were born. And we perpetuated those ideas because we're creator beings. And it's really important that we perpetuate something better.
100%. Like
Yeah.
our Mind and Your Soul group is part of that architect
Right.
soul group where we build realities, right? And we
Yeah.
all come from different soul groups out there, but um, they use well. I'm gonna take that what you said, the deletes. I'm gonna steal that from you, Sister Honey. That's a great word. Instead of calling them the elites, so the deletes, they like to use forms of manifestation magic and chaos magic, but their manifestation magic is what they're trying to do, what they're trying to get the masses to manifest a reality that they want. And we got to be careful not to fall into that trap. You know what I mean?
Right. And now we're on a different trajectory. And actually, the people that are truly in power at this point are, they're shifting it. So think of a radio dial. So they're in the process of shifting the dial and changing the station. But if they change it too fast, people won't believe that it's real. And
Right.
that's why this whole thing has taken so long, is because humanity has been like, oh, well, that can't be real. It's always been this way. This is the way everything works. Well, guess what? It's not the way everything works. It's the way we've been taught that it works.
The programming is strong. It really is. And yeah,
Yeah.
you got to understand, they teach since we were kids, we've been programmed that a lot of this stuff, oh, that's just woo woo, or it's new age. I love when they say that one. No, what it is stuff they wanted to keep us away from learning our true power, learning how to step into our power. And we all have them abilities too. And if you're spiritual or you're religious, well, just go to your scripture. I mean, even Jesus told you, what did he say? You will be able to do what I do and much more. I mean, he told you that. So, you know what I mean? We've been misled. And I don't think that Jesus or Yeshua HaMashiach, HaMashiach just means Messiah. His true name, Yeshua, there was no J's in the Aramaic language, which it doesn't really matter. I'm sure he knows your heart, whatever you call him. But he was here to bring that ancient knowledge to the people called Gnosis. And look what they did to him. He even told him, your God is not my God. So you got to think about that, guys. He didn't tell them to build a religion around him, and the Pope was his representation here on earth. I'm sure he never wrote that letter to the Pope. Like, yo, I want you to represent me and build this religion around me. You know what I mean?
No,
I,
no.
I
They did that after they killed him. And they killed him in a different way than they tell everybody to. The cross has a whole different meaning.
yep. It
So,
comes from Tammuz. Tammuz, who was the son of Nimrod, is where we get that symbol of the cross from. And then it's also connected to Nibiru, which they called the planet of the crossing. That symbol was tied to the cross as well. But yeah, it gets into Tammuz, and that's why even Christmas, they tell us, oh, that was Jesus's birthday. But no, actually, it was Tammuz's birthday. It was Mithra's birthday. It wasn't his, right? And me personally, my thought, I think he's had many different reincarnations and came back and tried to help humanity. But that's just my opinion on it. I'm not saying I'm right, guys, but
mhm.
that's what I feel. What do you
Well,
think,
I
sister?
think I think you're right. So I get all my information from my higher self, and basically, I've learned how to do like conversation all day long. But I get that he's been here incarnated as Buddha. He's been incarnated as Yeshua. He's been incarnated over and over and over. And all of it has to do with getting the word out to the people and shifting their perspective so that they will believe that they're as beautiful as they actually are, because we're a soul and we have a body. We're not a body with a soul, we're a soul that has a body. And if you can look at it that way, your soul is really trying to steer you in the right direction, because
100%.
they have the big perspective. We're on the board. Like, we're on the Monopoly board, and your soul is making the moves. So, will the inner child or the human soul allow the move to go through or not? It's all about that. It's all about those interactions, because humanity's been stuck here for so long, and they basically got stuck in the game.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm with you on that. And paying attention to your higher self. That's why when you really start to vibrate at the right frequency, you'll start to see them synchronicities happening. You know, I'm big with numbers. Any of my people that follow me know I do the gematria decoding and I break down people's source code, which our source code is tied to our first and last name. And without knowing that, then you don't really know what your energy is, so you can pay attention to it. And when I see them synchronicities, honey, tied to my source code, I pay attention because I know my higher self is trying to get my attention to show me something. Even if I'm
Yeah.
watching a movie, I'll be like, man, what are you trying to show me? You know, I have conversations with my higher self. um,
Yeah.
just like just like you. I mean, and once people know how to tune into that energy and realize it's not all woo woo, just like astral projection is very real. There's many of my people in the comments that I know have done it. I've seen them in the astral plane. Me and Honey surfed it together. Remote viewing is very real. I haven't mastered this one yet, but I'm working on it, trying to learn
Mhm.
that one. They even have a patent, Honey. Me and you talked about it before, where they have a patent on people that can walk through walls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I have a whole video, guys. I was thinking about uploading it because I always record when I try to do it, just so in case it ever happened that I would have evidence of it. And I've never done it, but I have a ton of recordings of me banging my head off the wall. You know what I mean? But I've tried to do it, but I think we can't. We do have that ability. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
100%, just like dream walking. We
We do.
if you guys know movies, the movie Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, you can watch the clip of it. Just type in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, dream walking, and you'll see where Scarlet the Witch, she got Wanda, but that's what she was in that version. She dream walked and she was in a deep meditative state, and then she transferred her consciousness to another variation, another variant of herself, in the multiverse. And what she wanted to do was take over that variant's life, because that variant, that version of herself, still had her children, right? So Wanda created them children out of magic too. She didn't have them the old fashioned way. She made them out of magic, but she was going to take over that version of herself and kind of wipe her out and then replace her. That's what that whole movie was about. But they even call it that in the movie. They say she was dream walking in that scene, and they do it in Doctor Strange. What was no wait, not Doctor Strange. What was that other movie that Stephen King did?
Oh.
Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep. Remember that one, honey?
No, I didn't watch that one. I
Yeah,
did watch the multiverse one. I don't know. Stephen King gets a little too
yeah.
weird for me. But another one is Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that will show you the multiverse. But basically, the multiverse is your fractals. So if you consider this to be your oversoul, and each one of these little things was a lifetime, then you have all these lifetimes going on at the same time. And
Simultaneous.
what we've been doing right now is resolving them. So I've had lifetimes where I was the funniest one that I looked in on. I was this old baron, and I was probably like, I don't know, 60 years old, very round. And my bard, so this was kind of medieval, my bard was basically stealing from the family. So I had put my bard in jail, and the bard is the one who sings to the family and tells the stories and does all this stuff.
Right.
And it was affecting this lifetime. So I knew that this one person was angry at me, and I said, "Why are they angry? I don't get it. Like, what did I do?"
Right.
And I saw that lifetime. So what I did is I asked to just switch that lifetime around. And basically, I released the bard into the forest and I got the items back. And as soon as that happened, I felt all the energy dissipate from the annoyance that someone was having with me, because they didn't know why they were mad, I don't think. But all of a sudden, it just went away. And that whole lifetime dissolved because it was resolved.
Right, right. Yeah, I went through past life regression therapy, and I've had many different lifetimes. I was a slave in Mesopotamia. I think that was like my first one, and in that incarnation, I was actually a female.
Mhm.
Because I think we reincarnate as females. My opinion, if you look into the numerology of it, right? So certain people are life path number ones, and you can figure out your life path number by adding up your birthday and reducing it. So if your birthday adds up to 30, like mine, right? January 17th, 1983, you add that up, it adds up to 30. So 30 reduces to 3. So I'm a life path 3. Now, the only way you wouldn't reduce it is if it adds up to 11, 22, or 33. Them are master numbers. So them are very powerful first player characters that carry that energy. These are usually ascended masters, people with the 22 life path. They're builders, because that's the master builder number. But my the one incarnation that I remembered the most, like I said, I've been a slave in many of them, was this one where I was a king in Ireland, the high king of, his name was Flynn Sana, and he was the high king of the Medes, born in 847, and I see that number over and over. So they say you reincarnate 6 times as a female, 6 times as a male. That's one reincarnation cycle. That'd be a life path 1. A life path 2, you would have 24 reincarnations. A life path 3, you would have 36. You would finish as a life path number 9, which is a total of 108 reincarnations. And guess what reincarnate equals? 108. So 9 times 12 is 108. And
Mhm.
reincarnate in English ordinal gematria, which comes from Jewish Kabbalah mysticism. They've used it to decode the Torah. it equals 108. So, and that's what all the ancients said. You went through these cycles, these cycles. And I think that's why sometimes people, they're so attached to their past life that
Oh
they
yeah.
might feel, oh, I don't really belong in this form. You know what I mean? Because they're
Hmm.
still feeling that past life.
Especially if it wasn't that long ago. Like a lot of people will come right back in.
Some
And
take longer.
especially in the past, like the human part of them would come right back in. So we have to think, you're human, your human soul group. You have one human soul inside your body. And then you have one big soul. So if you're awake right now, you have a big soul that's your guide. Humanity was the last soul group that was created. So they are the youngest, and you can think of them as your student. Okay. So your human is your student or your pupil, and your big soul is your guide. So basically, humans have incarnated over and over here. They never get out, and they're getting out now because the
Yep.
reincarnation wheel is gone. But that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, it's just a really interesting, and I've kind of lost the plot of what I was talking about. But yeah, so that's how it kind of breaks down. And what was the question again? Because I lost what I was talking about.
Reincarnation and how we go through different cycles, and we're stuck in a reincarnation cycle, which I agree with that. That gets into Gnosticism, Yod Baoth, and that was the one Jesus came to free us from, Yahshua HaMashiach. He said, you guys, that's not my God, that's a false God. And that's the God that built the material realm and kind of stuck us into this life, death, rebirth cycle. And now we're, able to ascend, because that's what we were talking about when you lost
Yeah,
your
yeah.
train.
So basically, the architect soul group builds matrices, and then all the other soul groups contribute to those matrices in one way or another. So the architects, they were born first, and they were born from the vast consciousness that we call God. And Jesus was one of them, Yeshua was one of them, and he knew the magic, the deep magic of creation. And if you look at creation, it's all like divine spirals and divine math. And he's a brilliant mathematician, this soul.
100%. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah, I agree with
But,
that.
right. And he's part of creation, right? So he's part of that. And that's why they called him the Son of God, right? Because he was one of the first ones born. However, from that long line of births, because souls are just like regular families, they just keep having babies, right? So in that long line, there was a few souls, mainly one, that really wanted all the knowledge but wanted to use it with more trauma attached, and got very addicted to this 3D world. And that's when Earth fell.
The Great
So,
Fall, right?
yeah, the Great Fall happened when they took it over. And it was mainly instigated by one being, and that being no longer exists. So
That's
that
good.
being has been turned into pure energy. But we have to remember we're all like a piece of God. We all have pieces of God within us. And
Like a
that is
fractal,
part
right?
of our different, huh?
Kind of like a fractal where you,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And,
your oversoul is a big piece. And then you have fractals inside of you. We used to only have one, and now we have several of these.
right, right. And the etymology of the human, that's a good word, because I always wondered, where did they come up with these words? So I like to look at the etymology and the root words of, certain words. In human, um, which that word in Latin comes from humanus, humanus, which means a man or mankind. And then earthling, you know what earthling means? One of the soil. One of the soil is earthling. So, what do they tell us in that story of the Bible that we were created from the soil of the earth, right? That's where they said they took man, took the soil,
Yeah,
and even
which,
even in the Anunnaki version of it, they couldn't get the um, creation to work right. It kept coming out mutated and everything. And then they said they took some of the earth or the soil from earth and made a vial where they mixed the DNA in that, and then they were able to create this version of humanity that they kept in the sacred womb of one of the Anunnakis and birthed it that way. And that's how but we were kind of,
yeah, and
just,
that would be the distorted version.
yeah, the distorted version, right? But it all
Yeah.
ties back to us being tied to soil somehow. I just found that kind of interesting.
Well, we are made of stardust. We are made of matter. Um, if you think about the soil, I think they're talking about carbon. So they basically took the crystalline body and dropped it into carbon, turned it into carbon. So they went backwards.
Right.
And now we're going forwards. So the bodies are crystalline now. The internal systems are still switching back to the original blueprint, but we've had some changes already. I think the nervous system is the one that's being worked on now, which is kind of stressful for the body.
Yeah. Probably why people are feeling so off, right? With their
That's a
going,
big part of it. Yeah.
yeah, with the headaches and the
Mm-hmm.
vision. I mean, the vision's one of mine. But you told me, honey, because I told you my vision was messed up a couple weeks back, and it's starting to straighten itself out now. Like
Yeah.
I'm starting to be able to see again clearly. I thought I was going blind there for a minute. I'm like, what is going on? But now it's starting to realign. So the more I get out in nature, the more I stay away from the mainstream media, the more I get back in tune with myself. I've noticed a lot of that healing is happening. And
Yeah.
we're coming right up to the 50-minute mark. So I want to keep this right around there, guys, just so I can upload it to our um, Instagram. And make sure, you guys go follow Honey because she does some amazing stuff on quantum healing. And she has a bunch of guests on and interviews them. And we're going to be doing a weekly podcast. This one, Step into Your Power. Most importantly, go join our community. It's 100% free. Stepintoyourpower.com. Honey's over there teaching. She does her videos over there. I'm doing my daily walk and talks over there, writing blogs. You got Brother Brad over there. And we're going to have a bunch of different spiritual teachers, right, honey?
Yeah. We'll continue to add spiritual people. We haven't even really fully launched this website, you guys. So it's a beautiful time to get on there now and find people. And you can find people in your local area. Your dad, Jimmy, has created, because he's the tech person behind all this, and he also shares every day. And he's really created a beautiful platform for everybody to go and meet each other. And this is part of the future that we're stepping into. And if you want to know more about the past and some of the crazy stuff, a couple of years ago, I was doing what was called Hidden History. And I did it with a group of people, and there was all these questions coming in, and I was asking higher self. So there's a lot of stuff that now is starting to come out, but not all of it has come out yet. And that is a great series to watch on my YouTube channel. I think you would find it fun.
Yeah, and Honey's YouTube channel, the link is in the description. You can give the name of it real quick too, because some people won't forget to look. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's just Honey C. Golden. Yeah.
Honey C. Golden. I'm actually doing a decode on her right now, guys. So I'm excited for that. I'm working on Honey's decode. And, if you want to book a decode, you can get that. That link's down there below as well. Don't forget to get your energy wellness band. We got amazing technology over there. They sponsor this podcast, and just a really amazing company based on Nikola Tesla's technology. So we love y'all. Thank you guys for joining us. And don't forget to go join stepintoyourpower.com. Again, it's free. We'll see y'all next week. We're out. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye, guys.